The James Show Podcast.
Top story of the day, easily the Dallas ICE facility getting shot up, continuing a steady stream of violence in modern America that, I don't think any of us are fans of this. I don't think, aside from the people, handful of ghouls that are actually part of these events, I don't think anyone likes seeing this on the news. But the new concern here, what do you think about your cops? And I mean your cops, your Dallas cops, your Collin County deputies, your friend that works at ICE. I mean, hell, I'd be concerned about anyone who's anywhere in the law enforcement chain up and down, whether it's Customs and Border Patrol, whether it's ICE, whether it's a policeman, whether it's a sheriff's deputy, whether it's a DPS trooper, Texas Ranger, all you guys. What's going through your head? So let's talk to Randy Sutton. He's a guy from the Wounded Blue, a charity who improves the lives of injured and disabled law enforcement officers. As a retired law enforcement officer yourself, this is what you've dedicated your life to. First off, welcome back to the James Show. What's going through the head of a law enforcement officer on a day like this?
Well, I appreciate you having me on. And, I spent 34 years as a police officer, retiring as a lieutenant with Las Vegas Metro PD. And I've seen a lot of cruelty. I've seen a lot of violence. But I have never seen the indiscriminate and the amount of ambushes that we are now seeing against American law enforcement officers. Today, what we saw in Dallas was a terrorist incident. That's what it was. You're talking about a politically motivated assassination attempt of law enforcement officers. And I don't know if this guy was just inept and didn't know how to target the individuals he was actually trying to kill, or if he was just inept. I don't know. But whatever it was, he clearly targeted ICE officers. He had a plan. He implemented that plan with a high-powered rifle and took a life and made his political statement before he killed himself. If you look at what he did today, it is similar to a suicide bombing. People that are this committed to be willing to sacrifice their own life, plan to sacrifice their own life for political motivations should terrify every American. I can assure you that it is causing a great deal of angst amongst law enforcement officers who have seen just an incredible increase in the number of ambush scenarios in the last year or so. Well,
when you hear the national outlets, Randy, talk about this, they'll bring up the ambush that happened in Alvarado, maybe the one that happened in McAllen this year. But I don't think the cop ambush murder that happened last year here in Dallas gets included on any of the national lists. But I don't forget that some guy ambushed and killed a cop last year, tried to get away with it based on the same sort of anti-cop rhetoric that is motivating some of these guys. So that, I mean, it's even worse than the national media puts it if you include the local stories.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we had in just last couple of weeks, we had officers killed in the small community in Utah. We had one of the deadliest days in recent history in the small farming community of York County, Pennsylvania. It's all across America. And the danger to law enforcement officers is increasing. I don't know if you're familiar with this statistic, but it's pretty staggering that last year about 89,000 American law enforcement officers were physically assaulted in the line of duty. That means they were shot, they were stabbed, they were beaten, they were hit with bricks. And many of these, became significant disabling injuries. And I see it every day. In fact, right now, I'm in a conference with injured officers from around the country. And when one of those officers that's in this conference who was ambushed and shot in the throat just a few years ago, when he received the information about this shooting today, it sent him into a tailspin because he is remembering what happened to him. and how it destroyed his life. And this is something that most Americans don't think about is, when we see the number of deaths, it's incredible, the number of police officers killed in the line of duty. And what we don't ever hear about is those that have been seriously injured and disabled in the line of duty, which numbers in the thousands, not in the hundreds.
All right, Lieutenant Randy Sutton from the Wounded Blue. What can the person listening do to help?
I would ask that they go to our website, thewoundedblue.org. That's thewoundedblue.org. See who we are, see what we do, give what you can. And if you are a law enforcement officer and you're struggling because of either a physical or emotional injury, reach out to thewoundedblue.org, because our words say it all. Never forgotten, never alone.
Thank you very much, Randy Sutton from the Wounded Blue. Appreciate your input. Tough day.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
It's just the latest in a string of attacks, and trying to put this whole story together. I think one of the people lost in the shuffle, we already covered the cops who are probably having a special concern about an incident like this. Let's look at the other side. The immigrants, the people who actually have to go to the ICE facility. They're probably looking at this with some special concern. And so to help parse that out for me, Renata Castro is coming back on the James Show. She's an immigration attorney from USA for All. And no, not that immigration attorney. The one that we like is Renata Castro. Welcome back to the James Show. So what does this look like from the point of view of legal immigrants in America? Do they have to worry about going to an ICE facility now?
I think that we've always had to worry about going to ICE facilities. For those listening to the show, it's important to realize that when you go to these facilities, you have to stand long periods of time outside in line, where it's very easily identifiable who is there as an immigrant or as an attorney to an immigrant. And the ICE officers not the ICE officer, but the private security who are hired to stand outside, and they are rarely sufficient to secure the perimeter. There was a very famous case in Florida where they had to get the city and the county involved because the ICE location violated several city codes and fire codes, and it was really putting people's lives at risk. And at this time of heightened political discord, and I want to say that it's on both sides, because we're today reporting these unfortunate deaths and untimely deaths, but we just come from mourning the death of another individual on the other side of the political spectrum. I think that everyone should be concerned at the temperature that political discourse is reaching in the United States, and no life is worth this discussion, no matter which political side you're on.
So should legal immigrants be doing anything different in the light of this tragedy?
I think that if you are somebody who may have concerns about your physical integrity, just keep an eye out for unreasonable or suspicious activity. But if we look at what happened in Dallas, I don't think anyone could have spotted. I personally could not have spotted, a shooter on top of a roof with a gun. That's the last thing on my mind. But other than just being overly cautious, I think that the very important thing now, and I think that we're all responsible for this discussion, is toning down the conversation where we're discussing facts and opinions, but not reaching the level where any side of the aisle is going for physical violence. So
what happens at this facility? I used to work over there. In fact, I had two different jobs in that tight little neighborhood there. That's not a detention facility, is it? That's just like a processing facility. I don't remember seeing any, jail set up there.
No. So, and then that's another thing. These are not detention centers. So imagine being detained at the DMV. There's no infrastructure for individuals to be held there with any level of security. And I think that it's pretty obvious from the fact that the three people who were shot, even though this is being described as an anti-ICE action, the three people who were shot were individuals who were detained. There's very little security in the surrounding of these facilities. And one very important thing, when you go into an ICE facility like the one that was targeted in Dallas today, the officers dress as civilians. A lot of times they look like my 21-year-old going to the club. They're wearing caps and T-shirts and jeans. It's very hard to identify who's an ICE officer and who is being detained.
Well, that's a good point.
And I think that this is also a concern for the security of the officers because, I, as an attorney, even though I'm defense counsel and I fight for immigrants, I respect the fact that there are individuals who have to work on the other side. And I don't wish on myself or anyone on any side of this discussion death or physical harm. And this is evidence that immigrants are at risk, but ICE officers are also at risk with what's going on.
All right, Renata Castro, if someone needs your help, where do they find you?
They can just go online, USA for all, the number 4, all.com.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that neighborhood, if you're not familiar with where this facility is, I used to work over there, and like 23 years ago, I had gotten a job that's just on the other side of 35, like Metro Media and 35. It's just a tiny little road there. There was a radio station over there. And then again, I worked where the split is, where 35 and 183 split. You know how Mockingbird hits right there, and there's that white building that says like Domingo Garcia Law Now or whatever. So that's just 3 buildings over from where the shooting happened. I worked there for a little while too, more recently, from 2020 to 2023. And I don't know if more security is the answer. You know, if you have more security guards, how's that going to stop a dude get on one of the buildings that's around there? Because there's all kinds of buildings. And what would more security have done? Would more security have stopped that? Stopped what happened today? I don't know. What kind of security would it have to be? Do we leave them? Do we have to make bulletproof vans now? Do we have to do... they have to go outside at some point. We can't keep them inside at the entire time. What are we going to dig a tunnel from the jail to this center? No. So no, there's no easy answers here on how to, keep people safe from crazy lefties that are going on shooting sprees because they're worked up thinking they're literally fighting Hitler. I don't see any other thing that's going to do a whole lot to tamp this down and pour water on it other than stopping the rhetoric, other than dealing with the people that are pulling the trigger. And a lot of people were getting on social media this morning saying, oh, look, it's another white male. We have a problem with white male shooters. Can we stop with the race stuff? Stop with the gun stuff. This is an ideological battle. The guys that attacked the ICE facility in Alvarado, that wasn't all white guys. Some of them were, there was like a Hispanic dude in there, the one that got rearrested on Monday. Benjamin Song, the guy that pulled the trigger, that hit the cop in the neck. He's of an Asian persuasion of some sort. One of the people getting arrested was a woman, Rebecca something or other. So no, get off the demographics. Get off the race. Get off the guns. It's not these incidental traits why this is happening. Not if all the bullets are coming from the left. We've done a lot of these emergencies now on the James Show. We've done a lot of these politically motivated, ideologically backed, violent episodes on the James Show. And I think we get it. I think you get it. I think even Garrett gets it over there on the other side of the glass. I don't think we need to learn any lessons here. I think the scariest part going forward is the people that need to change their behavior aren't listening to this show. They aren't listening to me. They aren't listening to you. They aren't listening to, are they getting it from social media? Is someone in their orbit? Is their spouse or their brother-in-law or their dad or someone having a talk with them right now? Because you've got to start asking yourself, how many of these incidents have to happen before the people on Team Blue say, hey, Team Blue has a problem? Because it's not infinite. For some people, it's infinity. They're totally incapable of any sort of self-criticism. I've known people like that. It's sort of one of the symptoms of narcissism is if you're incapable of self-criticism. But most of them aren't narcissists. Most of the adherents of Team Blue are reasonable people who can be reasoned with, who doesn't matter what I say or what you say, they're not going to pick up a gun and shoot. But the other people on their team are like that, and they won't listen to me. They will listen to you, Team Blue member who is sane, Team Blue member who's not seen as a Nazi, racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe, literally Hitler fascist. Until they start speaking to the bad actors on their side of the aisle, expect this to continue. And look, I'll give you some examples of people who get it. Shane on Facebook sent me a message. It said, I truly feel the endless nightly left-wing propaganda and anti-Trump rhetoric is what's fueling the current violent attacks on conservatives and ICE, etc. These late-night propagandists masquerading as comics spew this hate 5 nights a week, along with the mainstream media's endless hateful rhetoric. This endless propaganda is affecting weak, low IQ minds across America and around the world, creating the present atmosphere. The only thing I disagree with that on is they're not all low IQ. There's no real correlation with being high IQ and not being duped. High IQ people get things wrong all the time. In fact, you can go take 2 people with 140 IQ. Go look at that crowd. Some of them are going to believe in capitalism. Some of them are going to believe in socialism. The other thing is, yeah, I mean, the nightly left-wing propaganda and anti-Trump rhetoric from the talk shows, the late-night hosts, I mean, that's part of it. But that's also, you got to couple that in with pretty much every show on Netflix that has a political bend. All of CNN and MSNBC, all of the news programming on ABC, NBC, CBS. The overwhelming majority of academia, the overwhelming majority of celebrities, like actors, when they're in interviews, you don't care what Seth Rogen says to Charlemagne the God on The Breakfast Club. You don't even know what I'm talking about, do you? But this is where some of these people, they have influence, and it stinks. But I don't think you can isolate it or separate out the late night talk show hosts. And if we fix all the late night talk show hosts, that's not going to fix the problem. Another person that gets it, Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz's words this morning are exactly what I was thinking, and probably half of Dallas was thinking after the shooting this morning.
This needs to stop. Violence is wrong. Politically motivated violence is wrong. It was 2 weeks ago today that we saw a political assassination in Utah that tore the heart out of much of this country. This is the 3rd shooting in Texas directed at ICE or CBP. This must stop. To every politician who is using rhetoric demonizing ICE and demonizing CBP, stop. To every politician demanding that ICE agents be doxxed and calling for people to go after their families, stop. This has very real consequences. Look, in America, we disagree. That's fine. That's the democratic process. But your political opponents are not Nazis.
Yeah, I get that. You get that. But we don't need to get that message. And the people that do need to get that message aren't listening to this show. I've got some great feedback. When you live in a metropolitan area of about 8 million people and you got about 100,000 listeners, some of y'all are smart. That's just the odds, right? So a couple pieces of feedback that I think you would appreciate. Number one, Lawrence said, that he sent the email to James at WBAP.com if you ever want to email me. He said, I'm old, 65. Back in the day, a suicidal person died alone. Now with social media, they are encouraged to take as many of their enemies with them. Now, and I pause because I'm thinking about that. We didn't have social media back in the day, but we did have suicidal people go out in crazy fashions, crash out and try and take some people with them so they could make it into the news. So I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that, but I do have to think about it because you're right. They didn't have social media back in the day. If you were suicidal, maybe I would agree with. They're more likely because of social media to do something public. I don't know. See, that's what I'm saying. I like emails like that where I don't have the answer and I actually have to think about it. I think that's good stuff. And then CJ in North Richland Hills, thank you for including your location, sir. He said, God bless all our law enforcement folks. We have to figure out how to weed these mentally ill people out beforehand. Wish I had the answer. Lack of respect, no consequences, and the internet are literally killing people. Well, I'm always hesitant to go down that road because how do you weed out mentally ill people? You know, because that term, I assume, means arrest them, detain them, put them in a facility, whether it's a jail or a mental facility or one flew over the cuckoo's nest or something like that. Beforehand is the problem. How do you infringe on someone's rights if they've done nothing wrong? And I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying I don't have the answer to that. I wish we could. No one's been able to give me a program or a process by which we can weed out mentally ill people before they commit a crime without violating constitutional rights. I am all ears, though. If you can figure that out, I'll definitely read your email on the show. You probably get the Nobel Peace Prize. This is Joe in Grapevine. You're on WBAP. Hey, Joe.
Hey, James. Honor and privilege as always, sir.
Thank you.
James, in my opinion, and I agree with a lot of what you said, you did real great beginning of the show of giving a rundown of all the leftist attacks, whether it be ICE or Charlie Kirk or whatever, and the rhetoric that's been talked about. But in my opinion, and I think a lot of people will agree, and some sure will not agree, this is coordinated. This is planned. They know exactly. When I hear people say, oh, I can't believe they don't understand, they don't see, they know exactly what they're doing. They know that they couldn't convince American people about illegal immigration. They couldn't convince us about how they were going to improve the economy, about international affairs. We could go down the list. When they talk about the First Amendment, but yet they leave out what Charlie Kirk was doing, but yet they talk about Charlie Kimmel. It's like anything with First Amendment or Second Amendment, what they try to do is distract. Like the recent information, I apologize to the audience and you, James, kind of skipping all over, but all of this, every bit of this is encompassed. This is all coordinated and planned. They know that James Comey is going to be indicted for, I guess, perjury or something, which he should be. But they know this information, indictments, they know all this stuff is coming down, and what the great things that Charlie Kirk did, they're trying to put a damper on it. Everything that President Trump has done, they try to go against it. They have no new ideas, just criticism. They know exactly what they're doing, and all of it. The only thing you can do, just like you did, is not let them forget what they have done, what Doge found out, what we found out, the weaponization of our highest officials in this government. That should be brought up every time it's mentioned. Hillary Clinton today, she was talking about, the First Amendment and how, the government was pressuring NBC or whatever about Jimmy Kimmel. But yet, this is a woman that started the dossier to create a false narrative against President Trump that tore this country apart. And she's talking about her First Amendment, the same information that came out. Was she on whether they said she has to be highly sedated, either in laughing episodes or deep depression and anger? I mean, where was she at today when they had her on the air? We could go over so many things on what the left is doing. And don't you, and you're great about this sometimes, James, you don't let certain callers, as you did a black gentleman, it was a few days ago, and you just threw out a long list of things that the left was doing, hardly nothing the right was doing. You keep doing that, my friend. Don't let them forget and try to control the narrative, because in entertainment, in the news media, in our officials that's supposed to be leaders in our communities, such as our congressmen and senators, they are creating this narrative and distraction. Everybody out there, don't let them forget all of what they've done and what is coming down and what we're going to be finding out. And I can guarantee you, and you wait and see, there's going to be indictments. There's going to be more information coming about the corruption. And get this, James, if you didn't already hear, of course, they claimed that FEMA money wasn't used for illegals. I just found out a few days ago that the other countries were sending illegal immigrants here cards, money. So instead of the government doing it, so the question I have is, was this the money that the non-government officials that they were giving to,
right,
they couldn't account for, and they went to a country, and what did it do? Just come right back around so that they could fund this illegal invasion. I'm sorry.
That's great, Joe. I really appreciate the kind words. You know, I get it a lot in emails and stuff, and I never get tired of it. But also, my violence list, my attacks of liberal violence list here. I don't have like an official list. I keep a Google Doc over here because it comes up on the show so much. Do I need to put that on the website or something?
I think you need to.
All right, I'll look into that.
Great about it.
Thank you, Joe and Grapevine. All right, maybe I'll get to that and I'll announce on the show when it's up and ready to go. Because I've gotten other compliments on that list too, and I don't think it's anything special. I'm just compiling a list, but cool. Phil Temple, you're going to be the last word on this. Only got like 20 seconds though.
Just the thought that we have to get security for any type of law enforcement, that should be a wake-up flag.
Right, they're already carrying guns. See, but Phil, what security guard would have stopped this? What security measure would have stopped this? Not a gun-free zone, not more security guards, not a perimeter fence. Well, it wouldn't have stopped this. So, I mean, I hear you, we need more security, but what does that even look like? No, I don't think we need more security. I think we just need leftists to stop shooting at us. And we need to stop being called Nazis, fascists, and literally Hitler, because some people are believing them and they're acting accordingly. All right, tough day. Thank you very much for hanging out with me tomorrow. Let's try and have a more upbeat show for Thursday's edition, all right? Stick around. Mark Levin's coming up next. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
The James Show Podcast.